Hi, colleagues, and welcome to the next episode of DINCast, where I'm delighted to be joined by the best-dressed man on Zoom, Wayne Hemingway. Good morning, Wayne.
Morning. Just a sweatshirt on today, though, as the weather has turned a little bit.
It certainly has. So, I mean, obviously, we've known each other for a number of years now, but I just wondered, for those who haven't sort of come across you in your various guises, could you just sort of give us a brief introduction to yourself and your career?
Medium height, one eye brown, one eye blue, bald head, married with 4 kids and 3 grandkids. Started a company called Red or Dead when me and my wife were very young. Sold that when we were still pretty young for a decent amount of money, and then set up Hemingway Design in the late 90s. We're a multidisciplinary design agency. Everything we do and always have done throughout our lives has been focused on purpose and values. We believe that design is about improving things that matter in life, so we're never driven by the bottom line.
Okay. So obviously this has been a massive disruption, the whole COVID pandemic. How has this affected Hemingway Design and how you sort of view the world?
Well, in terms of business, luckily we've managed to keep going. We've not had to, and we wouldn't anyway, make anybody redundant. We've done a bit of furloughing, but not much. We lost, we've got one of the sides of our business is events and experiential stuff. We do some pretty big events all around the UK, some national ones. Obviously, all of those have been kiboshed. We've done some digitally online, but not that I'm that keen on that, really. You can't beat getting 50,000 people together rather than 50,000 people or whatever remotely. So we've missed that, and that means there's been a big hole in the work of the events team, who enjoy doing that and takes a lot of work away from them. So that's definitely affected profits. Profits are down, but we're still profitable. So we mustn't grumble about that, really. How's it affected our views on life? Well, I think it's kind of reiterated how important human contact is. But that we've seen here, especially with the younger members of the team, of which most are reasonably young, that they've wanted to come back to the office. So there has been a rush back to the office. Luckily we've got the space to socially distance. But generally, because most young people, especially in cities, don't have access to gardens, they're often sharing their homes with other people, and that means finding space to work. And also they've missed the camaraderie and the creativity of getting together and working together. So I think what it's taught us is the importance of being together. Obviously, we've always had, because of the way that we are, we've always allowed people to work from home if they want to. We've always had a team that we can trust. So nothing's changed on that for us anyway. We haven't suddenly had an epiphany that working from home is great, because you can do that anyway here. But we do know that working together is way better than working at home. But that working at home, if that's what you need to do, for whenever you want to, that's fine anyway. So nothing has changed other than let's really try and work hard to make sure that we can work together and we can do the things that we know work for human beings.
And how hard is it to sort of get that level of creativity that you're known for when you are now working sort of remotely? Has it affected you much, or is it very much business as usual?
It's all down to the people that you employ, and if you the people who are part of the team. If people are naturally creative and want to be creative, then nobody uses an excuse of I can't be creative because I'm not at home. But there has been members of the team whose well-being and mental health, that's the thing that's the term we all use nowadays, has been affected, and therefore by the fact that they've been to a degree imprisoned within places that they don't want to be and they wouldn't choose to be 7 days a week. And their creativity has been affected, and then it's been for the rest of the team to step in to make sure that we had enough digital, during the hard lockdown, that we had enough digital contact and we supported each other, and especially supported some of the younger ones. And gradually they're back functioning as you know, largely as they would be without COVID lockdowns.
And so, I mean, so during the time that I've sort of known you, as you say, you've been involved in so many sort of major initiatives, all backed by that sort of social purpose. And this year, you're launching, or you're involved with the Good Business Festival. Could you tell us a bit about what that's about?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the government's levelling up agenda. So the Northern Powerhouse money was given to Liverpool City region quite a few years ago to create this thing called the International Business Festival, and it needed re-evaluating because it was, you know, a little bit staid. It was suits and lanyards and didn't feel totally with the times. And an invitation to tender came out for teams to reinvigorate it, and we went in with what I suppose you could look at as a radical. We said, actually, there's not much we don't believe there's much to keep from the International Business Festival, but there needs to be a world festival focusing on purpose, business and purpose. We knew that because our brand team had been working with some big FTSE 100 and FTSE 200 companies, and we knew that any company we knew who wasn't thinking about purpose and societal value was going to be toast. You know, that was the way that things were going. But there wasn't a big world gathering for that subject matter. There was plenty of small events that were preaching to the converted, but there wasn't something that was a wide church that would embrace the most forward thinking of social purpose-led businesses like Patagonia to BP, the massive, and there was nothing taking the whole gap in between. So we came up with the Good Business Festival. We won the bid, put an amazing team together, including Culture Liverpool, the people that won the City of Culture and have overseen Liverpool going from the 15th to the 5th most visited city, and decided that we could create a festival that was about business, but that was more than that. It was a 5-day experience, a bit like South by Southwest is in Austin in Texas for the film and the music industry, something that was really experiential and a joy to be at, but also you did the kind of business networking and learned the kind of stuff that you need to do in business. And we created a brand which is universally loved and with a tone of voice and values that fits the times. And then COVID came along, so we've had to pivot a couple of times, changing it first of all to a TV studio with an audience type experience, because we knew we couldn't get together for 5 days in Liverpool in October, and then pivot again as Liverpool went into lockdown last Tuesday, whenever that was. It wasn't that long ago, but it's on October the 8th. It's going to be great. The subject matters are fantastic. The talent of the world talent that we've got, and the businesses that are part of it it's a stellar cast basically, and hopefully. We split it into Act 1, which is October the 8th, and then Act 2, which is in March, where we all get together in Liverpool. Hopefully, by March, we will be able to get together. But if we can't, we'll pivot again, and we'll come up with something else creative to, and eventually, COVID won't be dominating our lives, and good business will be able to get together and work our way through how we create more and better good businesses.
And I know that you've got some of our sort of housing members sort of involved in that. I mean, what do you see as the opportunity for sort of social-led businesses such as housing associations getting involved?
Yeah, well, housing has to change. We've not been delivering the right kind of homes in the right kind of places. In general, obviously, we've been delivering some good homes in good places, but in general, the industry hasn't been performing as purposely as it could do. There are so many social housing businesses that are brilliant with the right, and most of them have got the right kind of purpose and know what they should be doing. But the delivery of it hasn't lived up to how good those companies are, and often a lot of that is probably down to do with the landscape of the housing industry and having to compete, with some commercial developers who are able to bid at ridiculous prices because they're well funded and the planners don't, the planning system has not stood in the way, and not stood in the way of them doing what they want to do in terms of just making their 20% return on, on investment, and all of those kind of things that I've been vocal about in the past. But the times are changing. I'm seeing a number of developers, commercial developers, who are thinking about purpose, because we've got a generation now of millennials, Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, who are thinking differently, who are thinking about purpose. They're the first generations to be worse off than their parents. They call out when brands do the wrong thing, and they are the future. They are going to be, millennials are planners now. Gen Zs are moving into planning. They're moving into politics. They just because they will engender change, and they're engendering change now. Through the Good Business Festival, I've regularly been speaking to Number 10, and even a Conservative government realizes that things can't go on, and they can't oversee edge of town developments, soulless developments that are completely not sustainable, and actually not creating the kind of not allowing the kind of positive communities to develop that can develop if you get place right. So we've got, the Good Business Festival has got a significant amount of stuff in it for housing and developers. We're already working with, as partners in it, some big regional developers like Regenda and Taurus. We've got a session called House Nation where we've worked with Ipsos Mori on looking at what new generations are looking for from their homes and from the places where those homes are built, and it's pretty ambitious stuff. And also, what millennials and Gen Zs and Gen Alphas are saying about where the kind of homes and that they want to live in and where they want to live. People need to sit up and take notice, because it's very different from a lot of the stuff that's being delivered for them right now.
And in terms of sort of the festival sort of outcomes, I mean, how do you think it will help leaders sort of overcome some of the barriers and challenges that they're faced within their communities? What are you looking to achieve? What does success look like to you?
Well, I'll tell you what success doesn't look like. It doesn't look like I'll talk about housing first of all and development, because that's what your focus is. And the same thing could be said through all the different. We're covering every sector. It doesn't look like an event that just stinks of greed, which MIPIM can do. It should be what it should be is an event that thinks about the end user, that thinks about social purpose, that thinks that societal value is important, and absolutely understands that profit can definitely come from purpose, and you don't have to reduce your profit and by being purposeful. The two go hand in hand, and there are so many businesses around the world proving that now in so many sectors. So that's what success looks like. It looks like we are, demonstrating that bottom line can remain really, really positive, but at the same time you can be purposeful, and that means that by doing that you can employ people who want to work with you, bright people who then can help your bottom line. There's many aspects to this.
It's a real conundrum. I have this conversation quite a few times, Wayne, around sort of investing in innovation and doing things differently. But in the housing market, particularly the social housing market, there is very, very limited competition. So the drivers for change and the drivers for doing sort of the social purpose are very much down to the individual leadership teams or boards or things like that. Do you think there's anything else that we could sort of help them drive with? That, because of this lack of
what they can drive with, number one, creativity is important, and if you haven't got a non-executive director or a partnership with a creative team who you talk to, not just about design, because most major world successful companies now have creative thinkers which usually come out of the creative industries, mainly come out of the design industries, on their board. You know, Jonathan Ive at Apple would never have grown to what they did. It wasn't Jonathan Ive wasn't just there designing iPads and beautiful looking devices. Every decision that was made had him involved in the growth of that company. I could go on and I could talk for the next bloody hour on going through all the big world companies, all the successful companies that have creativity at the highest level, and even some of our best retailers who've performed through really well through COVID. Look at Iceland. You know, they have they have activists. Activists in their team now at board level who would call themselves activists. Who are saying, right, come on, we've got to try things differently this way. And I don't see that kind of. You would imagine that social housing should have activists running all the way through it, but sometimes it doesn't feel like that.
That's a really sort of good point, and I hope I'll sort of cover this off and sort of share this with the wider sector. I think you've raised some really good questions there, Wayne. Well, look, we'll put up the details for the Good Business Festival, and we'll get the DINCast out straight away, and hopefully we can get some more housing leaders and housing organisations involved with the festival. So thank you very much for your time. All the very best with it, and always good to catch up with you, sir.
Thank you.